You know what's interesting though, and I guess I'll just be honest. I don't MTHFR gene. Are you guys familiar with that?
No.
I'm not.
About 50% of the population has this deviation in their genetics. They have this gene. They do not process folic acid the same way as people without it.
Make someone smile every day so they won't be missed.
There's a really strong relationship between screen time, lack of sleep, thoughts of suicide, and substance abuse. Working with kids and like screen time is really difficult because you can't promote abstinence. Like it's never going to go away.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us again for this podcast. I hope you're enjoying this as we kind of venture into some mental health here. It's very, very important for all of us. If you haven't yet, now is the time to like and subscribe this podcast. I realize that we're not always talking about mental health, but it's because it's the ADHD Express. We might be talking about building hot rods or cooking or shooting or whatever, but keep tuning in. Thanks guys. Have a great day. Audio spike to check everything, and we have a nice little audio spike to line all of our videos up. And we don't ever warn anybody that that's coming because it kind of just makes you laugh.
Like, am I going crazy?
What? How you're laughing though, right? A minute ago you were a little nervous about the podcast. So anyways, hey guys, I'm Bryan with the ADHD Express. I'm here to host another awesome podcast today. We've got a great lineup. We've got a very different lineup today. Just kidding. It's Joe and Daniel.
Hey!
And then we have a very dear special
Guest, more than a friend, because you were my therapist.
So I don't know how to rank that. Now you're my friend because you're not my therapist anymore. We have Melissa Adamson. She was a therapist, and now she runs the Juniper House, which is a local. Actually, why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, Juniper Haven. So
Juniper Haven. Thank you.
Yeah, you're good. It's fine. It's a mental health facility for adolescent girls or assigned female at birth. But what's different from, because there's a lot of treatment centers in our valley, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to my knowledge, we're the only ones that work with insurance.
Okay, cool. Fabulous.
So the goal is to make it available, accessible, affordable to the community.
Right.
Not just the wealthy.
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
Cool.
Because mental health is kind of like big. It's always been huge. I think it's just more like kind of coming to a head in the last few years.
Yeah. Is there a reason why you chose that in your line of work? Or is it just like, you just like, one day I want to start the Juniper
Haven.
Juniper Haven.
So I have known that I wanted to be a therapist ever since I was in kindergarten.
Okay.
That's just what I've always said.
Awesome.
And it's just I've never deviated from that plan, and felt like a calling at an early age. I don't know why. So
that's awesome. That's amazing.
That is really cool.
That
I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Definitely doesn't fit into the ADHD narrative though.
No?
No, because the rest, I still have no idea what I want to do when I grow up.
You know what's funny though, is that I do have ADHD.
Yeah. Oh, do you
Really?
Have you been
I do.
tested?
No, I've never been tested, but I know
Well, yeah, because you're
the criteria well enough.
Yeah.
And I've just figured out how to manage it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Right, which is a lot. You taught me how to manage mine. Oh, I forgot my star chart. I was going to bring my cool star chart thing out if we had to talk about that. Yeah, because a lot of the tools I picked up from you, and that was awesome. We had a really fun, and the podcast hasn't been released yet, but we had a friend of mine on, Paul Jenkins. You guys remember that?
We took the 16 questions.
There's like that 16 question ADD test online or whatever. How bad are you? And I think we got through 8 questions in the hour. It was awful. It was awful.
Yeah.
Like if that's not diagnostic, what is, right?
Well, I mean, it was just, it's funny because the very first question, every one of us was like, I don't want to play this anymore. I don't like that question. And Melissa did shit like that to me too.
You know what's interesting though, and I guess I'll just be honest.
Nice.
I don't know if it's ADHD or if it's that MTHFR gene. Are you guys familiar with that?
No.
I'm not. What's
So
that?
if you look at that, and I don't know what the language criteria is on here, but MTHFR, so it's nicknamed the mother.
You can
effer
say
gene.
it. It's fine. Well, yeah.
About 50% of the population has this deviation in their genetics. They have this gene. They do not process folic acid the same way as people without it.
Really?
So what happens, and we have so much folic acid in our
Because
diet.
all the artificial crap that they're feeding us.
Anything
too.
that says enriched
Okay.
in the flour. So it's in bread, it's in cereal, it's in grains. Anything that says enriched has folic acid added as a supplement. And if you don't process it, the symptoms of that look very similar to
Yeah. Wow, it's like
Really?
all these
Yeah.
people saying the food
That's
we're eating is making
insane.
us crazy.
Yeah.
And by golly,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, so I've been modifying
Dude, holy
diets.
crap. We're going to
I
talk the whole
have
podcast about this. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me?
My husband has
Yeah.
the gene mutation as well. If you do like the 23andMe or the Ancestry.com, you can
Okay.
see if you've got it.
Really?
Okay.
Really? I've done that.
Oh.
I'll have to check that.
I'm sure my kids do, if we both do.
Right. I bet
Our
mine do because,
household
like,
is
yeah,
nuts.
we talk about this all the time, and people talk about, like, you see the difference in kids that eat like the box cereal and shit for breakfast. Like, they're not the kids who are sitting still in school. They're the kids that
No.
are freaking out, and maybe they don't have ADHD. Maybe they have this. What did you call it again?
The MTHFR gene.
MTH.
MTHFR.
Yeah. It's pretty fascinating.
I love motherfucker.
Because that's what it feels like. Great. Now I can't eat bread.
Right.
I gotta make notes.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. I go down a lot of rabbit holes.
That's
Hey,
okay.
those are
We
our
like
favorite.
that.
Yeah.
So how,
This tells
did
you a
that-
lot about a kind of person who carries this type of pencil around. And every time I pick it up, I'm like, I'm never gonna get away from that guy.
that's valid.
That's just who I am. Like, I
Yeah.
can't help it.
How did you get it? Like, how did you learn? Is it like, how recent is this?
You know,
Do you
I
know
don't
much?
know like when the research started on it. I'm not totally familiar with it, but I just stumbled across it online and just started reading a lot about it,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the.
researching it.
So
a
how
lot.
long ago did that hit? Like, did you learn about that or
About a year ago.
really?
Yeah.
Was there anything that stumbled on, or is it just one of the videos that popped?
Yeah, it just came up and I was like, wait, what? And so I started doing more and more reading on
Sure.
it. Then I looked at my 23andMe results and I have it.
Huh.
And it's my parents don't. Neither of them do. So it mutated in my generation. And I don't know if my brother does, but
Huh. I couldn't.
Interesting.
First
How heavily
generation-
vaccinated were you? How heavily vaccinated were you as a kid?
oh, I'm sure my mom's a nurse.
Oh, so everything, yeah. And antibiotics all the time, you think?
No.
No. Okay, well, that's good. I always wonder what that does to people because, like, I never had any of that stuff. I know I'm a carrier. Like, I guess I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, we'll keep you safe.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know anything about the correlation of any of that, but
Yeah, that's weird. That's crazy. Huh.
And you said it's 50%?
about half the population.
Crazy.
That is. And when you think about everything they're putting folic acid in,
It's everything. Literally
like, well,
everything.
yeah. I mean, anything that's like in a package that's all, they don't,
Anything at the stores.
dude, you just need to eat vegetables and meat, man. I'm sorry. That's the key.
Mhm.
You're not a vegetarian.
No.
Not that there's anything wrong with that for those of you who are. It's fine.
Yeah. Then it'd really
It used to be.
There's more meat for the rest
You
of
used
us.
to be?
Did you?
Yeah, used to be vegan.
Oh, really?
Really?
It's so good. Meat is so good.
Yeah.
But then I see videos of like pigs laughing and cows finding grass for the first time and they're best friends and feel bad. Then I get hungry.
So I don't.
Right.
I'm there with you. I'm a big softie. I love animals, and like if I could pull it off, I would, but I can't. And so the next best thing is like I buy a cow from a really ethically raised, on an ethically raised ranch. Like we could go right now and visit my cow for this next year, and I promise you it'll come to the fence. Because they live in this beautiful ranch.
Yeah.
And so they do have a good life. Like, I don't feel bad. That's what they're here for. My chickens, we eat the eggs. They're happy. Are you kidding me? They got all this land. So, I don't know.
Jumping really back. So, like, what's your favorite part about what you do?
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, she already told us she wanted to be it since she was a kid. Like, that's like life ambition she realized. It's awesome.
But now the
Yeah.
benefits of having it.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
I think there's two parts to it. So I love where I live. I love this valley. I love being able to help people in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been passionate about the adolescents and young adults. I think that's when life gets really hard.
Sure.
And that's when you can kind of intercept any problems and back on a right path, And so I really like being able to help kids. And I really like building a workplace where my staff can be happy.
Sure.
Where we're not facilitating an environment of burnout, where we are supportive, where they are allowed to take time off without feeling guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's like, we're a whole team. It's not just a hierarchy and then underling sort of a thing. Like I like that, to create that kind of environment for people. So those are two things I like the most.
Sound like amazing boss.
Thanks.
Yeah. I bet she would be. I would bet you would be. That's cool.
No, we'll take a census with your employees.
I can give you one. We
You
we
do
just
that?
went through the Joint Commission accreditation process. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
Any medical facility, mental health facility that wants to be top tier gets
Yeah.
accredited by the Joint Commission.
Okay.
So I worked for about 6 months. Ever since I started working on building the company, I had this in mind that we wanted to get accredited their standards.
Yeah.
They came out in the end of February, and he was pretty straightforward. He's like, "You guys are brand new. I wasn't expecting much.
Sure.
Like I was kind of expecting a mom and pop shop sort of operation here. Like I'm super impressed." He's like, "This is a super like formalized, professional environment." They interviewed all of the clients, the kids that we have there, and they interviewed our staff without me or any of the other leadership present. That it was, of all of the interviews that he's ever done, there was not one negative thing said about a client or from a staff member.
That's awesome.
So, yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Congratulations.
How did you go about building that?
With a lot of intention. So my clinical director, Diana, and I met many times to figure out what we want this environment to be like, because we've worked in places where it wasn't like that, where we weren't really valued as people. We were there to
Fill the
just
seats.
do the job.
Yep.
And
Bring in revenue.
the job was more important than anything else. And if the minute you couldn't do the job, you were no longer important to them. And so we've been there.
Yep.
We didn't want to create that.
That's most places. It's corporate America. That's most places.
It's all about the bottom line.
Right. Right.
But the thing is, though, is if you don't have happy staff, then you don't have happy clients. And
Oh,
if you don't have
absolutely.
happy clients, then you don't have a company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the craziest part, because people don't realize. I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, every time I go to the store, I am always like the giddy guy. Have you ever seen the giddy guy at the store? I'm like jumping around. How's your day going? Oh, man, things are And every time it feels like it turns into a positive interaction, even if that person was like frowning all the way there. But then by the time I get there and I throw that positive at them, they throw it right back at me.
Yeah, it's contagious.
Right?
Yeah.
It sounds like you're trying to build that positive for both sides. Everyone wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Win-win.
Yeah.
Big time. That's so
No
cool.
losers in that game.
So before you were a therapist, right? And so did you own your own practice, or were you working under somebody in a practice?
So I, from grad school, did a practicum as an intern therapist at Uinta Academy. It's another treatment center in the Valley. Hired full-time there as a therapist, and then went to assistant clinical director and then clinical director there, and then needed a break from that world. It's clients in residential treatment it's high acuity, it's high stress.
Yeah.
The problems are intense. And it was also when COVID hit. So it was
so that was even worse.
it was a lot.
Yeah,
It was a
holy
lot.
cow.
So I decided to step back. I left there and opened my own practice, and did that for a couple years, and then was approached by Nathan Whitaker. He's an ER doctor here in Logan.
So kind of a fun tie-in. I'm just going to say, so Nate and I call him Nate, but I was his inspector and helped him get into flipping houses and stuff. And so he's done. There's
Okay.
Nate's a whole. In fact, I'm going to have Nate on here. I've already talked to him. I'll get
have
Nate.
you really?
Yeah. Well, I just let him know we were doing it. I haven't asked him to come on yet, but I will.
Huh.
So I was we'll get him on here.
Yeah.
I says we're booked out. All right. I mean, there's no shortage of people to come on the show.
Yeah. No, there's not. There's lots of cool people around here.
Lots. And I have a huge network. Like I said, it's funny. We joke about it. I'm like, I have over 1,000 people in my phone. Like even if we just continue doing this, like it's going to take us over a year to get through my phone contacts.
You could do like a roulette system.
I know.
Just have like a random guest.
That's kind of pretty much how it is. No, it really kind of is just like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like the guest on last Thursday was used to run a machine shop. Now he's an insurance agent, financial advisor, and owns a ranch. And they sell, they ethically raise and farm elk, lamb, and bison.
Oh.
I know, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like the ADHD roulette.
And a tattoo. It is. It's just the podcast is ADHD roulette. You have no idea
Yeah.
what you're gonna get. And I don't even use. I'm more of it's like, oh yeah, so and so. In fact, I've got a guy coming on this month that I've known for years. He used to be like the kind of one of the big parts guys around for car parts. Helped me build a couple of my vehicles, and then he got tired of that. And he went and started a gym and did MMA and did an MMA training gym. And he did that for a lot of time. And then he sold that gym. It's still here. I think it's one of the Cache Valley something gyms. We'll have him on and he'll explain all that. And then he bought into and started a mechanic shop. And now they build like race cars and they do chassis tuning and all kinds of cool stuff. So it's like, he's kind of along the lines. So you never know what's going to happen here.
No, that's cool. I like it.
It's the way to be. Okay, you mentioned as a kid you always wanted to be a therapist. Was there anything that...
Hang on, she was telling... Can I interrupt you too?
Oh, yeah, no.
We were talking Nate Whitaker, and then I interrupted you on Nate Whitaker.
Oh, yeah.
He
Yeah.
approached you.
Oh.
Or he approached you.
He approached me, said that he was looking to open up a facility for local youth. So him being an ER doctor, if there's any kid that has like some sort of mental health crisis, right? They go to the ER. We don't have a pediatric behavioral health unit in the hospital here.
Oh.
So they just sit in the ER for days, possibly until a bed opens up at another hospital or facility in the state.
Oh my.
So the closest one is McCady. So that's why we need somewhere in this community to refer kids to. So that's why he wanted to start junior.
That's amazing.
So I wonder if that means that in the near future, if there's one for boys as well.
We've been talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely a need. There's definitely a need.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I feel like mental health has become a lot more destigmatized now, especially with the internet and social and squeaky wheels, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's made it so that there's a whole different dynamic, I feel. But also, I still feel like we're retaining some of the older philosophies or feelings that have been tagged with them. At least a lot of people are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing to see it change.
Yeah, it's definitely less stigmatized. And it's also significantly worse. And I think that's part of the reason we talk about it more. So I just kind of took some notes on some stats in Utah.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
So Utah is ranked highest in terms of mothers reporting more poor mental health.
Really?
So mothers not being happy and being stressed out and having mental health issues are raising kids. And so if they're not feeling supported, they're not getting mental health treatment. Those kids are going to grow up to be pretty anxious kids.
Yep.
Because mom's not available.
Right.
Which Utah is ranked 10th in prevalence of anxiety in children, 3 to 17. And 11th for adults with mental health illness. So that's quite the correlation there.
Yeah. And that's also that's pretty high up on the rank.
And more than half of them are not receiving treatment. So in addition, suicide in Utah is the leading cause of death, ages 10 to 24.
Wow. Really? That's awful.
So the reports for especially for teen girls, the reports of feeling sad and hopeless have increased 61%.
Really?
Yeah. So
keep your kids off of social media.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
There's a really strong relationship between screen time, lack of sleep, thoughts of suicide, and substance abuse.
Really? Well, it makes sense. Like you just catch yourself into a cycle a lot of the time with that because you feel bad and then you don't want to feel bad.
Exactly.
And then you go from feeling not wanting to feel bad to waking up the next morning feeling even worse, probably.
Yes.
And it's just a downward spiral. I thought it was crazy because when I went to high school, I went to American Fork High School in Utah, and we had like 2 to 3 suicides a year. And I went from Preston, Idaho to American Fork, and it was just something that everyone treated as a regular thing. And it's not you gonna show me how to turn that off?
Yeah. No, I was actually really listening to what you were saying. I was kind of like, didn't even hear it. That's funny. Yeah, dang, that's really crazy, man.
I lost my best
those numbers
friend.
It's significant.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, that's why I have this tattoo. show the camera.
I'm sorry, you lost two?
I lost my best friend when I was 12. One of my best friends.
Sorry.
It's okay because it was a lesson that I learned, and that's why I got this. So it's make someone smile every day with a semicolon. Make someone smile every day so they won't be missed. So
I like that.
Nice.
yeah, it's very interesting to see how the world is changing
hmm
across all platforms and all things, but we're still yearning for those basics.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow.
Well,
But
you know what
dang,
they
man.
say, like we're just slightly more complicated houseplants. Right? Like we just need sunshine, fresh air, food and water,
Yeah.
and some nurturing.
Yep.
And we'd be okay. But we're missing out on a lot of that
A
because
lot of
we're
that.
Yeah.
glued to our phones and jobs are stressful. And
Well, just so many people don't. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think, so part of my therapy thing was we still walk every day.
Mhm.
That's like our thing. We get up and go for a walk every morning, rain, sleet, sun
Yeah.
or shine, just to get out, get that fresh air, get your body going. Not having your phone.
Yeah. yeah, just being present.
Yeah. So,
I feel like our phone makes it so much easier for us to just get locked into the stressful things.
Yeah.
Like people try to use it as an escape or to dopamine,
Mhm.
TikTok and all
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
But even with that, like it still is holding all of our heavy things.
Well, I
So,
feel-
one of, oh, go ahead.
I feel like people with social media scroll and then they just find things that they don't have or the life that they want, and then it just makes them more,
Miss it or envious or
Yeah.
whatever.
and just like more feelings towards it.
One thing I was gonna say, we've been, as we've kind of, our family, we're trying to be really aware, like when you go and spend some time with because again, so when I spent almost like 9 months roughly visiting you, at the same time, I was also had a scaling coach, if you remember. So we also had Jonathan on last week.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of fun. We kind of picked up a bunch of tools and a bunch of things that we're really trying to use to change our lives. One of the ones that's been tough, but we've been trying to implement is when somebody talks to you, you just shut your screen off.
Yeah.
Because like so many of us are sitting there and then somebody starts trying to engage you and you just can't suck yourself away. And like the reason I talk about that is because, was it yesterday? I came in the door and, my little girl, like it's kind of her time after school, like she gets some of her stuff done, then she gets a little bit of screen time. And so that's allowed. We kind of regulate it.
Yeah.
And so, but during her screen time, I was like, hey, Millie, how was your day? And she shut it off and put it down, screen down, and just totally turned and engaged me. And it was just like, dude, that's a victory.
Yeah.
Like that is such a victory. It was so rad, and so that's just what we all are trying to do. You just don't know, just shut it down and put it down and then talk to the person.
Yeah.
Like it's really quite easy. All you got to do is that when
Yeah.
someone talks to you, shut your phone off, put it down, put it in your pocket and talk to them.
Yeah. Prioritize
Boom.
the people
Engaged.
over the
Like
screen. Yeah.
It's not even that hard. Like that's the thing is it's not even that hard.
Well, and it used to like just years ago, that's just how it was. Like everybody was just in connection with people all the time.
Yep.
And now it's just like 80% of the time is spent in the phone.
And honestly, it kind of, listening to you and talking about some of those statistics that 50% of the people aren't getting help for what they need.
Mhm. It's like 58. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's all the more reason for the ADHD Express to be out there. Is like, here's a bunch of goofy, diet autism that you treat with amphetamines.
Yeah.
But we're like celebrating it and still having a good time. Like, yes, going through school, I was always a bad kid. I was always in trouble because I couldn't sit still. Are you kidding me? So the joke around here, do you see this chair we're sitting on? Notice how this one seems nice and tight and doesn't squeak? It's because I just replaced it because I wiggled the last one to pieces. It's sitting right there. I'm not even joking.
So squeaky and
It's
loose.
so squeaky and everything loose. And like, that's just for me sitting here like trying to sit still
Yeah.
as a 45-year-old man doing my
Right.
own thing, like in my space. And I still am like, "Argh."
Yeah.
I try not to. I'm really trying hard to not ruin this chair.
I feel it.
It happens,
I
though.
always do the tilt or the
Yep.
the toe tingle.
Yep. Yep.
I learned that.
So
I had a
funny.
teacher in school that they would always get mad at me for doing the leg shake.
Yeah.
Hey,
You don't have any of the hypertension stuff, do you?
are you
Your
inattentive
ADD?
or hyperactive? Do you know?
I
More inattentive?
yeah.
Okay. Because, yeah. Or is it just that you just have it locked down that you don't wiggle? Because like I remember during therapy, like there were times when I'd be going nuts and you're just locked in.
It's funny. My husband and I were talking about that last night because my kids are just super fidgety, just can't stop moving. And I have a hard time with it because I like to sit still. I like my environment to be still. And when I'm constantly being jostled, it's like, that's what's overstimulating to me.
Yeah. That's how my wife is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Inattentive.
Yeah.
Would you quit wiggling? I can't. Like, are you kidding me? Look what happened to the chair when I tried to quit wiggling.
Yeah.
Like that energy's got to go somewhere. Like for real.
Just vibrates the chair.
Well, yeah, because for the most part, I am cognizant that I'm on camera and that I'm sitting here. So I'm trying not. There's sometimes when we all are just like, when Paul was here, shit, dude, this crack wasn't even here until Paul came. That's obviously a joke, but like that's how bad it was. Like
Shaking the building down. Okay, so every time that I totally just went to therapist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every time I've talked with a therapist, they've always had really cool analogies for different things.
Hmm.
Do you have any of them that are your favorite or they're your go-tos?
Oh, I don't know.
Depends on the situation.
It really does. There's so many.
What about for what we were talking about with oh my goodness, my brain just went away.
Juniper.
After Juniper.
Oh, all the suicide and stuff in Utah, or no? What?
No, further.
I don't know, man. I haven't recorded it. We haven't edited it yet.
Yeah. Let me just check real quick. Oh no, it was with screen time or like with like just interacting.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? Do you have any for that? You could say no.
Well, I don't know if I have like a saying, but I mean, I think about it a lot. I mean, just with the population that I work with and my own kids. Working with kids and like screen time is really difficult because you can't promote abstinence of that. Like it's never going to go away, right? It's not like a drug, like don't do drugs. Like this is just going to be part of their lives forever. It's part of our lives forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just need to figure out how to teach balance and how to teach moderation with it and how to teach self-control. And then also I think what helps is like the intent behind it.
Oh.
Like when kids get on it, they don't have an intention. They're just getting on there. Well, the intention is probably, I don't want to feel anything. Like, but other than that, so they're just like doom scrolling and numbing out and there's no connection and get more depressed. They get more anxious.
I've never thought about it like that, but you're 100% right on that.
Yeah.
Because
but I was trying to think of when I thought, what do I think? What do I want when I do that? You're right. I don't know. It's because you're sitting there. You don't want to be bored. Right.
You're bored.
Remember when we were kids? Being bored was awesome. We did the best stuff.
Bored is healthy.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being bored. But for some reason, when we're bored, when we're bored, we feel and we think. And people are uncomfortable with that.
You start processing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They don't want to feel anything negative. They don't want to think about anything negative. They don't like that feeling. So they just grab their phone and start scrolling to numb that out as fast as possible. But it doesn't actually go away. It just gets worse. And then all you're teaching yourself is how to numb emotion, and you can't selectively numb emotion. So if you numb the negative emotions, you're numbing the positive emotions too.
Have you read Raising Strong by Brene Brown?
No, I've read several of her books, but not that one.
That just reminded me of one of the things that she talked about was chandelier pain. Are you familiar?
No.
So chandelier pain is what happens. She used it as an analogy because sometimes when doctors are working on a patient and they touch somewhere, they jump to the chandelier, right?
Okay.
Chandelier pain. But we create our own chandelier pain when we ignore our emotions and our own things. And then when somebody touches it, we, or no, I don't want to go there. And we pull away from it as hard as we can.
Interesting.
And it's called chandelier pain. And I thought that was really cool, like entire thought process, because we don't want to deal with our emotions because we usually have something else that we're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much easier to just put it aside than it is to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But in all reality, it's way worse. Mm-hmm. And we're in a society of distraction, right?
Yeah.
We're always doing something new. We're always doing something to ignore how we feel and where we feel.
Yeah.
I love she also talks about the idea of the POS list, the piece of shit list. Oh no, it's the SFD, the shitty first draft.
Okay.
Where you just take and you write out what you're feeling on something as if you were a 3-year-old, not even thinking about it, just writing it out. And then you look at it and you say, is that really how it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. No, that's actually a pretty smart thought, because like a lot of times people don't want to. In my business, I found a lot of times people will complain about something that's not real. Yeah. And they just want to be like, well, they don't really want to actually talk about what the issue is. They just want to talk about how heinous it is. Yeah. And I can never get them to speak to me. And that's when that happens, I know it's because if they say it out loud, they're going to be like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. They don't want to say it out loud. Is that kind of what you're implying, right?
Yeah. No, it's you don't actively think about expressing it either with it. It's when you just throw it on the piece of paper, it almost always, I've done it 2 times. I need to do it more, but I've done it 2 times. And every time that I've done it, I've written it all out and usually frustrated about something. And I get to the very end of it and then I read it back. And it's like, I don't feel like I feel good because this hurt my feel goods. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like they probably weren't intending to do that to me.
Yeah. Well, that comes back to that book, The Fifth Agreement. Yeah. Love that book. Don't take everything personally.
Yeah.
And don't make assumptions.
Most of it isn't personal.
Most of
what other people say and do says everything about them and nothing about you.
Yep. That's why, really good advice there. Yeah. Love that book still. One of
my. So good.
So just to ask you, like with being in the industry and those statistics that you threw out there, I mean, that's a lot of people, like over 50% not seeking treatment. If somebody feels like they're having an issue with it, what would you recommend that they could do on their own? I mean, obviously, like things need help, like outside help a lot of times, but like what would be the most powerful thing that somebody can do on their own to help start moving in the right direction and like helping themselves through things?
Oh, that's a tricky question because there's many reasons why people aren't getting services. It's not just not knowing. It's also like a financial reason, like they can't afford it, or they don't have, their insurance doesn't cover it, or there aren't therapists available. I mean, most therapists have a wait list right now because everybody's pretty much inundated. So there's so many factors there, but I think just talking to someone and getting it started. So whether that be a primary care doctor, a good friend, family member, just start talking about it and seeing what you can find and just reaching out to anyone. And I think there are a lot of people in Utah that are helpers, right? That want to help. They're in the field in some sort of capacity. And a lot of people just don't even know what resources are even available. So just reaching out to anyone and then somebody will get you to the right spot, I think. And most of us talk a lot in the industry. Like we have monthly meetings where we get together and network and see who's got openings for who and who can help this person. And we're all trying to work together to help everybody. It's not a competitive industry.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I just brought I just welled with joy with that because that's amazing. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, they're all that way. I just inspected a building for, I can't remember, 1800 North and 200 West, East in Logan. Short lady. I swear that her. Talked about her before. The place on Center Street as well.
Risha?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, her. So she's, I'm sorry. No, there's a lot of people that I interact with. I forget names sometimes. So she also she basically runs a bunch of therapists. Yeah. And so like they're, like you said, it's not competition. They will sit there and talk to you and be like, oh, you might like so-and-so kind of a thing. Like it's actually really quite cool.
Yeah.
How neat they all are.
Yeah.
So
if somebody wanted to get into this industry, like into the industry of it, what would you suggest to them? Or like, how would you suggest them going about it? Or what could they do now in order to make it so that they could also grow excitement for it?
Well, I mean, you can get into it at any level. So there's like direct care, like where you're working with the clients. That doesn't usually even require a college degree. If you want to be a therapist, it will require at least a master's degree. But there's many routes to go with that. There's social work, there's psychology, there's licensed in marriage family therapy.
Well, there's even
mental health counselors.
we talked about at one point in time even life coaching.
Yeah.
You can be a life coach if you just think you want to help people and try that. Like that's an option.
Yeah.
There are certifications for that. Yeah.
What would you say to people that want to help all of these people that are needing help or needing somebody to talk to? Do you have any advice for them on conversations? Because I feel like there's some people that want to help but feel like they're useless when they try. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because I guess I'm not, well, maybe it doesn't make sense.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So no, I mean, if that's, I kind of get what you're saying. Like, and I mean, really folks need to be reading. Like if you're wanting to help and you don't know how, start your own mental health journey.
I feel like
Go look into, crack open that egg and go see what's going on. Like whose life isn't worth looking at, whose mind is not worth looking at.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I think as far as just helping, like if you're not a professional, but you just want to be available, just listening, just being available without judgment. That helps people tremendously.
Well, and if I may, that's actually true. And just being available, I guess.
Yeah.
So like there's this prepping group that I go hang out with sometimes and they do a lot of fun stuff and different things. And there was a young man who's kind of a little lost in his career. And I was telling some guys about the podcast and he overheard it and came in. And anyways, we've had several dialogues since then. You know, like I guess by just making myself available to him, he kind of tentatively started asking some questions. And so I was just like, well, cool. Hey, this is what I think, you know? And then it was like, it's led to a lot deeper conversations on some growth and stuff that he can do. And again, I just like, well, hey, I really like this book. This book really helped me. You know, this thing really helped me. That kind of stuff kind of helps a little bit, which actually I'm going to use as a complete segue into another thing. We talk about star charts. No, what are they actually, the astrological...
Oh, the natal chart.
Natal chart.
Yeah.
That damn. Yeah, it's sitting.
Yeah.
Should I go grab it? Would that help, or can we
want
just
to.
talk about it?
I don't.
I'm gonna go
whatever you
grab
wanna
it
do.
so you guys
Do
can
it.
hear.
Go,
about
go,
it.
go, go.
I've never left the podcast.
That's okay. We don't know what to do. Before he jumps back, I don't know. I was just gonna like one of my. So soon after I lost my buddy, we had another friend actually that wound up attempting, and his grandmother didn't know what to do after they released him from the hospital, and he came over. I remember he came over and was playing video games at our house afterwards, and I remember I was mad at him, I had just gone through this, and I remember just sitting in my room locked up, being salty. And like the next morning at actually it was like 3 or 4 a.m. I was like, pull your head out of your ass. Like you're not the only one that's feeling. And I remember the next day he had gone home and we're good. He had gone home, and then the next day I remember I grabbed my longboard and I longboarded over to his house, knocked on his door, said, hey, come get a Monster with me. We went and we both longboarded over to this gas station that we both had locally. I bought him a Monster. We went into the back where they had this park and we sat and we just talked. And as we talked, he expressed all of the things that were going on. And we did this every day for months. And at the end of it, like, I'm so proud of this guy. Like, shout out, brother. Hell yeah. He has a kid now. He's I don't remember if you're married or not, but he has a house and he has so much, and it brings joy to me from seeing him going from that place to where he is now, and
it wasn't a short process. I mean, that took a long time for him to get over that, like to get through things. But I mean, I think that's part of what helped was the consistency, and really it was kind of helped everyone, just us. Like, I mean, we all helped each other with a lot of stuff.
It created just an amazing environment of just listening and loving. That's the best way I could put it.
You got to love through it.
Love through it.
But it's hard not to have those feelings when someone close to you attempts. It feels like a betrayal. It hurts. Yeah. Like, how could you? But when people are in that spot, they're not thinking about anybody else. Like it feels like so hopeless that they can't see beyond that moment. You know what I mean? And how dark of a spot is that to be in?
It's one of the darkest, just
Yeah.
from what I've spoken with, and you feel like you can't get out, but there's always some light, right? Because the
Yeah.
best part is the darkness can show you the light.
Yeah.
And I feel like once you've gone through that, you have an enormous ability and gift that's given of the ability to help heal that or help somebody else go through something like that.
Okay.
It's a terrible darn experience, but with perseverance and making it through, you can be that light for someone else. And I love the entire idea and the thought of that.
Yeah.
I love what you said. Love through that. Love through it. I'm going to keep that.
Kind of on
I
that
hope you don't mind.
perspective, it is crazy, like the separation of the perspective. Like somebody who's in that situation feels like nobody cares,
Right.
and the people who are witnessing it are upset because they care so much and they
Right.
feel like they don't care, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like the same thing but different perspectives. And it's kind of crazy to see, like, from an outside perspective, that it's like, you know, they're both feeling the same thing but in a different way.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just kind of crazy. But I think talking through it, like being there for people, talking with them, like, helps a bunch.
Yeah.
And on
Yeah.
both sides. Like if you're struggling, I feel like reaching out to somebody and just talking to them. Because I don't know, for me it was like distancing. Like when you're in that, you kind of distance yourself from everybody and become your own, like, you know,
Yeah.
try and be on your own and
Yeah.
separate yourself from everyone. And that's part of what builds it up into something that is too big to handle, you know? So talking to people, reaching out to your old friends, checking on them, like, I don't know. That was just a thought that came
Yeah.
to my mind.
That's the key. Star charts.
Oh yeah, so it's actually a natal chart.
We
So-
found him. He
We
got
did.
lost for a
no,
second.
yeah, I'm back. That was cool. And I didn't want to, you guys were totally into it, so I was just going to sit here and chill. So you guys, this is something that Melissa helped me find when we were doing my therapy. And so this is stuff you put in the time, the date that you were born, and it has to be the exact time off of your birth certificate, right? And they punch that in and they figure out where all the different stars and planets were and what's their alignment. And it tells quite a bit about you. Now, a lot of people think this stuff may not be real, but I'm just going to read you some of this, like a couple of the little things, and you guys tell me, right? So it shows the positions of the planets for Bryan. The sun, it talks about the sun is in Pisces, right? And so that says that, it gives Pisces suns the ability to identify with people from all walks of life, from all backgrounds in some way, right? Like, and that was when you guys say, like, if you look at the people that I've brought on this podcast, like the range of people,
Yeah.
like it's actually true. Like some of this is part of why there's a podcast today. So part of this is Melissa's idea and Joe's idea.
You're
is the
welcome.
YouTube stuff. Like, yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of was. You and Jonathan were like, dude, you'd be perfect for that. And then I met these guys. So these guys were doing some marketing for a friend's business. And I was like, well, hey, I need to meet them. And we came by and I talked to them kind of about what my vision was. And they were like, yes. And then here we are. So kind of interesting, but yeah. So this star chart, I guess, do you want to maybe explain it a little? You'll explain it better than I will. Do you mind? I know I told you I wasn't going to ask you anything, and then here I am asking you stuff.
I don't know that I can fully explain it, honestly. Like I don't know a ton about it. I've just the little bit that I've read online, and I just kind of goofed around and did it for me and my family and was kind of shocked at the accuracy.
Right.
And I have found it to be a helpful tool in working with people, not because I think, oh, this is 100% scientific and this is definitely research based. And like, we don't have all that, right? But it is kind of a good tool to look at, to like gain insight, I think, into maybe why you are the way you are, or is this me? Is this not me? But if it's not, like, what's different? And then it's still a good tool to talk through and kind of figure out, who am I? What are my values? What's important to me? Where am I going in life?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like a good reference point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and we can probably we'll hook up and put the links for this on the website afterwards, because like this is something I actually kind of forgot about this, and should do this for you guys as well. This thing was, I'll let you read through some of it, and you're gonna just be like, wow, it's Bryan on like 17 pages.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah,
We're both Taurus, so.
What's that?
We're both Taurus.
Yeah, actually, so his birthday's tomorrow, and his is
Oh.
on the 15th.
Where'd
Little
you get that
bird
Happy
info?
birthday.
I just found it this morning. So yeah, I know, right?
Coming up.
Heck yeah. Did you know that there's actually 13 zodiac constellations? There's one that no one talks about. It's called Ophelius or Ophelius, something like that. And it's actually, most people that think they're a Scorpio are actually Ophelius. And they overlap. And then I watched a Neil deGrasse Tyson thing on it.
I love that guy.
Right? Always blowing my mind with something.
I know.
But I just thought that was wild because it's always been there's the 12 zodiac, right?
Mhm.
All the way through. But there's another one that nobody ever talked about. And that's kind of crazy because it throws everything into a different perspective
Mhm.
for me. But it's still cool.
So
I was just gonna say, I like studying the history of like calendars too, because like, I mean, and I went down this rabbit hole not too long ago. Think about this, like September. What is this? Like the prefix sept,
Sept,
Is-
seven.
but it's the 9th month.
Hmm.
October,
It's
8.
yeah.
November,
Yeah.
Nov 9. December, Dec is 10.
yeah, they are all offset.
You're all,
Wasn't it Augustine?
In accordance,
because it used to be, yes, August was after Augustine. And that's when things kind of changed because I think, didn't they, I don't know.
The
I can't,
Roman-
calendar or something, wasn't it?
Wasn't
or
it the
they
Roman-
added,
Was it who did that? John
They
was
added-
talking
it
about
was-
that on his podcast.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Augustine. He instituted a month named after him.
uh-huh.
And then there was one other one.
There's one other one.
I know what you're talking about. Let's see, January. Where's January come from? Actually, now that I'm thinking about this, the first 4 months don't make sense now.
They don't. And the previous calendar lined up much more closely with the lunar calendar,
Cycles.
the lunar
Yeah.
cycles.
And didn't it have 13 months?
So,
It's probably part of
Which
the
would-
Industrial Revolution.
which would make sense with having 13 zodiacs too.
Yeah,
Right. That would make
yeah.
more sense. I mean, well, so there's actually a lot of things. Like I've been doing a lot of this self-searching journey stuff, it's kind of opened up a bunch, like, I don't want to say it this way, but into like my faith and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Like as I started doing some kind of research on like who actually wrote the Bible and how much it's been changed. And then when you realize that at some point in time, was it the Romans that took out every book written by a woman? Like they basically took the power away from women, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, and then you start hearing that and then you're like, well, huh. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's just some weird things in history. And like, I have a few Christian friends that and they're just like, no, Jesus is our Lord and Savior. The Bible's the true word of God. And I'm like, well, come on now. Like,
It was
It's
a bunch of
interpreted.
guys
I'm not
all
saying
sitting
it's
together
not.
at the Nicene Creed saying, yeah, we like that one. That one doesn't really align with what
right.
we want.
And that's my problem is
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened. And there might have been some truth in there that we really needed.
Yeah.
All of the other
So-
books are still available. You can still read
There's a word for, no, I can't, there's a word that talks about books that there's books that they think are true and there's books that they think are not true. There's like these two words that they use and I can't remember what those words are.
I mean, it's
used to
kind
know
of
this.
crazy. Like the Library of
I'm gonna Google it 'cause I don't-
Alexandria.
Oh,
I mean, they lost tons of text back then. At that time, Caesar burnt the boats in the town.
he said, screw it.
But yeah, no, it's crazy how many writings that they lost around that. Like,
Crazy how our civilization has changed based off of those major events, like a month of change and books that are in and out and that are called reputable and unreputable. Like, if I remember right, the King James version, I said this before, I think I checked it, but don't hate me. But the King James version that was made was actually made for the, not the Roman Catholic, but the other church, the Church of England, if I remember correctly. And that's why the Protestants that came over, or the Pilgrims, right? they still had a book that was in there that's called the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha was placed before Revelations. So it was either before, but it was written after Revelations. And so the reason why they took the Apocrypha out, because one of the lines that says in Revelations,
right? There's books to come after these. They're going to be not true, right? Everybody uses that against the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, but they took the Apocrypha out because of that same principle, but it was written by the same guy.
Huh.
I think it's interesting because overall, like all of the books are just people's interpretation of things that happened and what they were supposed to get from it. Like
Right.
it's the things that lasted, the stories that were passed down.
Right.
You know,
And right.
And
And then when you
somebody
start
was
thinking that
like,
stuff
"I know how to
changed,
write."
It's control in my mind, but I don't know.
I think that it's more so inclination of feeling.
Yeah,
Because
inspiration.
the thing is, when you read something, you can know if it's real or false almost immediately if you're really focusing on it, right? Granted, there's off biases ones, and there's other things that play into it. But when you read something and you know it's true, immediately you get a feeling. And that's what a lot of religions use and feed off of, because that feeling is like the super ego. That's the best way that I can describe it. Either the super ego or the inbuilt ego that we are born with, because we're born and you don't ever have to tell a kid it's wrong to murder, but they know it and they feel it. And I think that's a lot of where the writings of the Old Testament and the New Testament come from. It's people that are writing, like one of my favorite lines in Isaiah is, the Lord God doeth nothing for the Son of Man except for it be for the benefit of man. I messed it up. It's, they're going to hate me. I'm sorry. But the Lord God doeth nothing for the Son of Man other than it be a benefit for man, right? And I've quoted that before, and you just get this immense feeling of like, yeah, because at the end of it all, no matter what happens to you in life, good or bad, it always winds up for your benefit because you learned how to go through it. Right? Yeah. And it's a totally different perspective when you look at it from there, because you see, yeah, this sucked. That really sucked. I don't want to do it again. But then you're able to say, hey, don't do that. And that's where I think a lot of the Old Testaments come from. Like the story of Jonah is a poem. Did you know that? It was written originally as a poem, and they found out because they found the book that it was originally written in. And it's the story of a man. Sorry, it just beeped in my ear. It's the story of a man, right? What is the story of Jonah? The story of Jonah is a guy that God told him, go to Nineveh, right? And Nineveh was just the most ugly, nasty place to go. Like, the people were mean, rude, sacrilege, like constantly fighting, bickering, everything that you don't want to be around. And so what did he do? Well, he ran away. He's like, I don't want to do that. And so he left, and he got on a ship. And when he was on the ship, God said, I don't think so. And he caused a storm, right? And that storm made it so that everybody else on the ship was suffering, until the point where they're like, hey, you got to go. And then he jumped off of the ship, and immediately the storm ceased, right? And in the Old Testament, most of the time whenever water is referred to, it's always chaos, right? Because what is water? Well, water is a massive body that you have no idea what is underneath you, right? And so what happens when he falls into the chaotic water alone? Well, he's swallowed up by the monster from the depths, the whale. And then he sits there for 3 days. And as he's sitting in the whale, like, he's like, okay, this sucks. Fine, I'll do it. And then he does it, right? Like, the whale spits him out, because a lot of times when you're in a state where you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, it feels like you got dragged to the depths of hell. In fact, a lot of people think that hell's reference is when the state you put yourself in when you're doing what you know you're not supposed to be doing, when you're not listening to that inclination. And the whale spit him up, and then he immediately went to Nineveh, and it wasn't that bad because he said, hey, God's going to destroy you if you don't stop. And it didn't work. And he was bitter at the end, if you remember correctly, because he walked up to the top of a hill and he sat down, and God gave him a single shade tree. Like, it grew out of the ground, and he sat under this shade tree and watched as he was waiting for Nineveh to be destroyed, because he did not think that they were able to be saved, even though he had just gone through an experience where he himself had been saved. And God withered the fruit, and that's the story of it. And it's a poem that's made to make you think about those things. Like, don't go away from what you know you're supposed to do. And when you do it, it's probably not going to be that bad. And never expect the expectation, like, don't hold expectation over other people that you don't hold over yourself. I love the story of Jonah. It's one of my favorites in there.
Yeah, that was a good recap of the story of Jonah. And you did what you felt like you were supposed to do. You did that. You felt like you're supposed to be a therapist to help people, and look at you. You're doing it. See,
Do you feel more gratified now than you did when you were originally, or do you feel like it's on the same
I feel like it's on the same path.
path?
Yeah.
Same path, different journey?
Yeah. Different parts of the path, but yeah.
Well, somebody's got to be in charge. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, all those things. So at least it's a person
Why not
in
me?
charge. Well, because I mean, the thing of it is, though, is like, in my mind, you are the right person because you do genuinely care. You genuinely want it to be better, right?
Yeah.
And so you are the right person. You're welcome. I appreciate the heck out of you. It helped me quite a bit.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah. I forget. Did I have a beard when we first started?
I think so.
Like a big, huge beard, huh? Shaved it maybe.
Maybe. I don't remember you without one.
Okay. I wasn't sure. There was a brief time I did not have a beard.
Beginning of the podcast.
Yeah, right. Actually, yeah.
I have a video.
Yeah, this is from
Was it last week?
Yeah. This is from the end of January.
Okay. Pretty good.
Like, it's too much. Yeah. I remembered why I didn't like the old long beard last time. It's too much. It's irritating. You don't realize how obnoxious that is. Long hair? Have you ever had short hair?
Yeah.
Is it better?
I don't like short hair.
Okay. You don't like it. It's definitely less of a
No,
hassle.
it's not for me. No, it feels like you have to style it more.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You
All
have
right.
to be more intentional about it. Long hair, you can just pull up.
Yeah. Okay. And that doesn't work with a beard, because see, with a beard, you have to like comb it. Otherwise, you look all homeless and there's like food sticking in there and stuff. Like,
Just saving it for later.
Right.
well, you know what's
Little
funny is, like,
snack.
every time I meet somebody's dog, the cool thing about a beard is dogs stop licking your face.
Oh.
They just sniffle all up in your beard.
Never thought about that before.
It's really quite funny, actually. Yeah. I just say that because I met a friend. I did a home inspection for a friend of mine. She's a realtor, but also a personal friend. And I did a home inspection for her yesterday. And she brought her little Frenchie bulldog. And oh my God, he was so cute. And then I went to go give him love. She's like, he's going to try to lick your mouth. And like, he just was all up in here. It was really funny.
Fantastic.
I know. Good times. Good times. Good times. Well,
What a
dang.
times.
So, do you guys, I guess you can't really do like social media for your business, can you?
We can, and I've started it, but I haven't had time to really dive
Okay.
into it.
Okay. Well, I guess if you guys are, so that would be one place, you know, you guys are asking, where can we send people? Well, if you happen to be an adolescent young
Do you have a website?
woman,
We have a website, thejuniperhaven.com.
Okay.
I have a Facebook page and an Instagram
so
page
Juniper
as well.
Haven on Facebook and Instagram and .com. So those are a good resource there. And even if you're not probably a woman, maybe, do you guys have any other resources? Like if somebody's looking for something else, you guys have any like collaboration with other,
Yeah, we all talk. We all know each other. If somebody calls me, I can give them a referral.
so that's something
somewhere
also
else.
to keep in mind. If you're looking for some sort of help and you don't know where to go, just turn to the first one you can find and they will help you find something. I think is kind of the general consensus that we have gathered. Doesn't have to be the right person, but somebody in that field is going to help you get to the right people and get you the help. So if you guys have had a journey of, what's your mental health journey, throw us a comment. Let us know. If you guys need some help, let us know. Heck, send us a private message if you're one of those people who doesn't know where to go. We'll do our best to get you the right people too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Very responsive. And is there a place to submit a form on the site, or is it just a phone number as well? Both?
Yep.
Yep. Cool. We'll make sure to link it on the website and whatnot and go from there. So again, you guys, we appreciate you joining us for the ADHD Express podcast. Again, if you like it, you guys know the deal at this point. Subscribe, like, follow, comment, all that kind of stuff helps us. If you think we're terrible, tell us. That works too. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having
I
me.
call you Michelle. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Dude, there's a whole therapy session. I called her Michelle.
That happens a lot.
Oh, does it really?
It really does. Yeah.
People start thinking they just don't think about it.
Yeah, and it's always Michelle.
Is it really?
Always Michelle?
It is.
I didn't think about that until I looked at you, and then I was like, I remember calling her Michelle, and I felt, yeah.
Now you're doing the opposite way.
Well, anyways, thank you again for joining us. We appreciate
My
your
pleasure.
time out of your busy day, and yeah, we'll let you get back to solving the world's problems.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
See you
doing what
guys.
you do.
Coming.